Hello, this is the Jam podcast. You're listening to Thalir,
Leah,
and our guest today is
Meera. Hello.
Hi. So the Jam, a little bit about the Jam, is that we're a student-led podcast in CANDI, Sixth Form College, and we kind of just talk about anything and everything. And today we're going to speak to former CANDI teacher Meera, who is an artist, and right now we're actually currently sitting in her gallery in a little exhibition, and we have a beautiful, I want to say, what should I call them? Paintings?
Yeah, most of them are paintings, some are collage, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
paintings and collage surrounding us, so it's quite the ambience, it's quite the atmosphere. So we'll be talking a bit more about everything. So tell us a bit about yourself, Meera.
Right, well hello to you both, first of all, thank you for coming. It's really nice to meet students from the college, because I had an absolutely lovely 11 years at CANDI.
Mm-hmm.
So my name is Meera. I'm currently early days of doing the artwork sort of properly full on, but I used to teach sociology and philosophy at CANDI for about 11 years. Met a bunch of inspiring people, and I always painted a little bit on the side, just as a kind of hobby. You can see, I mean, obviously people listening won't be able to see it, but it's very messy, expressive work, so you might understand why a busy head needed some sort of outlet. And for me, I still love music, dance, and I think I just signed up for an adult education course one time, Introduction to Abstract Painting, and just fell in love with it immediately. Knew that I didn't really want to do any other type of painting, wasn't interested in representing reality, etc. So it started that way as a hobby, and it was just something that I used to dabble with. And then I took a sabbatical from CANDI. They used to be very good at supporting people that have been there a long time, and teachers to maybe take a bit of time out and return. I was planning on returning, but circumstances changed. But I rented a studio and got really into it then it just sort of turned, and it wasn't that I didn't enjoy teaching at CANDI. I loved it, actually. I loved teaching those subjects, and I still very much see myself as a sociologist that somehow planted themselves in this new art world that I'm still trying to get my head round, really. So a bit of an imposter I feel sometimes, but not in a bad way always, just like it's quite interesting to come having done lots of other things, having worked in social care, having been a teacher, and done various other jobs in my life. So it was time for a change and midlife opportunity, I think they say,
Yeah.
So I'm giving it a go, and this is my first solo exhibition. So
congratulations.
Really, thank you, and thank you. It's been an amazing experience. It's in the library. We were just talking about this just before. It's a really special gallery within Willesden Green library, and it's a real honour to be here because I'm meeting all sorts of amazing people come through the door. It's not a commercial gallery, so you get regular folk that are just getting their books out, taking their kids to courses, and they ask the most wonderful questions, and I would highly recommend that anybody just comes and, not for my work, but just generally just comes here and takes a look, because you get introduced to such a wide range of work every 2 weeks. It changes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely, yeah. It's similar to the Barbican, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I remember you kind of walk through the library, and there's a little bit where they introduce some artists, and you see some paintings and things like that. And I think it's a really nice way to introduce art into people's lives who don't generally come across that way. And I think that's what I was trying to say with the whole gallery and library intertwined into one building, is that this kind of regular folks kind of can come and see the kind of art that's expressed, and they don't come across it generally, whilst in galleries where it targets that kind of niche arts kind of customers, they kind of know what they have. Like, it's almost like critical behavior, isn't it, at that point? It's like they kind of come in maybe in like a critic view, or like a specific lens that they see artwork in. Whilst I think from what I hear about your artwork, it is very expressive, and I think it honestly speaks to a lot of people as well. So it's not generally marketed towards just that kind of experienced artists, I want to say.
Yeah.
So I want to know a bit more about some of your paintings and collages. Tell me some of your favourites, and I'll be able to link some of your work.
Images, no, it's okay. So what you've got here is a selection of work from when I sort of started giving everything in 2019. So like you got a bunch of these kind of paintings that are pretty vibrant here, and when I said collage, so like I often rip up like old stuff that I don't like and incorporate it. So I'm not a real hoarder in life anyway, so I'm just like, my studio's just full, just to the brim. And actually some of these you'll see, some quite, you see there's black and white little dots there. I went through a weird phase of just sort of meditatively just drawing black dots, and it was a bit weird because about like, then COVID happened, and actually I looked at them and they were sort of almost like a little premonition. These little isolated black dots that I just ended up with, and I ended up with sheets of them. I don't know why, but anyway, so they've got incorporated into new stuff. I scribble a lot, so you can see like there's a lot of there's acrylic paint. I like to work quickly and very intuitively, so there's absolutely zero plan, and that is my whole, like, if I'm gonna, like you've got to have some sort of something that's important to you in your art or whatever, it doesn't have to be a big spiel, but there's going to be something, isn't there? And for me it's that like 100% honest marks. I'm chasing that authentic moment that is just not premeditated, and that's what I love. I love like watching people dance spontaneously. I love watching, I love jazz because it's improvised. I love raw marks. I'm a person that gets excited by decaying buildings. I'll come around your house before you decorate and I will say, leave it like this, that stripped wallpaper looks amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love like mess and imperfections.
Because you find meaning through it. Like there's definitely a lot of it. You could just, people might see it as plain white wall or like, dirt or, just kind of like, I don't know, it's a societal kind of, I don't know how to explain it, just like very generic, but it's actually more to it. You definitely see
right.
that.
You can bring your own stories and history of buildings, and it's the same with images, isn't it? Like there's just kind of, you see, there's a real obvious reminder that somebody made it because of someone human with flaws and anxieties, and, and I've always loved this type of painting to look at. I was never clued up about art. I didn't go to art school. As you know, I'm trained in social science, and possibly that's served me well because I've come at it from quite a naive point of view where I've just been like, well, this is what I'm doing. I love doing it. I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm not. There's not as much to unlearn. I know I've spoken to artists that find it hard to be as loose and free as they want to because they're so skilled in lots of different elements of art. So that's quite interesting. And I think that's something that I'd like to carry forward to help. Also, like I'm thinking already about working in that way with other people that are not trained and come into art for the first time, because this is such a beautiful way to be introduced to painting, like when you don't have any expectations of the outcome and it's all about the process and the gestures and the literally making marks. I just love moving my hand around, with an oil stick or an oil pastels or so there's a lot of, some of them you can see are really minimalist, and so even though I'm being spontaneous as possible in all respects, I'm human and things start to creep. Sometimes I can feel it creeping and go, I've really spent ages I've been working on this one, I'll hide it, bring it back again, keep going, and it's doing my head in. And then it'll be at the end of a long day or a week of maybe I've been making lots of stuff that I don't like, where I've literally have zero expectations. I'm about to just I'm just getting rid of the paint off my brush, I'm on my way out. And then I'll make something quite quickly that sort of brings me back to that was it, that's it.
That's lovely,
And I don't know if you guys find, because I'd like to know more about your art studies as well, but do you find that there is this sense that if you, oh my god, I've lost my track. So this is interesting. I'm 45 and I'm very perimenopausal, and I don't mind talking about this with anyone because it's quite an important thing to talk about. But my brain I will forget literally just what happened just then. I totally forgot what I was about to say to you.
I relate. I have ADHD, and I'll just talk, and I'm like, God. I remember seeing this post somewhere where it's like people with ADHD. Before they start, they don't even know what they're talking about. They kind of just start talking and hope it ends somewhere where it makes sense.
Wow.
So it's kind of, it's funny because there's like the whole diagnosis process going on now. But
Really?
pretty much every medical professional in my life has said, you have it, but we don't have the official documents to kind of, diagnose you. Even in college, I got like my extra time and my rest breaks and things like that.
Sounds
So
like a long time.
yeah.
Like every sort of mental health diagnosis. So
Exactly,
long.
it's a UK thing. UK mental health problem here, but yes, I totally understand. No worries. I think you were trying to shift the conversation to the ways arts incorporate to our lives, I believe, because you did say
your study, but I've lost the link because what were we just saying just before?
So it was saying about how almost like an exit art, like as in how you try to leave this art piece and you like, oh, let me clean off the paint with my brush, and you kind of make the
very like free.
Yeah, you finish off and you end yourself with this kind of like art piece that you didn't expect, and it's like refreshing for you.
Yeah, well.
And then you said about how something about how it was very relaxing for you, and then you turned it to us and said, I wonder what.
I think, I've lost the exact questions, but I'm just generally interested in how you guys go. Like, what type of art do you do? Like, what do you love? I mean, I know you have to do lots of different things on your A-level course, but do you have that sort of experience of just letting go? Is it very outcome based for you? Because you have to, obviously there's briefs that you need to meet. So I'm kind of interested in how free you're able to be with your studies.
So I just want to address to the audience and listeners here that right now I'm speaking. I'm a media student, so I'm media history and drama. That was my 3 A-levels that I did do because I've left CANDI now, I've done my exams. And Leah here, do you want to explain what you're...
I did psychology, media, same as Thalir, and A-level art.
So I just want to say, like, we kind of have 2 different expressive ways of, like, we're both quite creative but in our own ways. So, Leah, if you want to kind of introduce on how art is in your life and how you express things. Do you want to shift a bit more closer? I'm doing something quite loud outside.
A bit more.
Sorry, could you repeat the question that you asked?
I mean, it was a very sort of rambly question, but I really just want to know a bit more about how you are able, how free you feel you're able to be, how experimental, how open-ended, because there's a lot of art gets produced with sort of a brief in mind, and especially if you're A-level students, you need to show that you can do certain things. So that's all stuff that's alien to me. But like, I've just wondered how do you have a lot of experience of producing work where you don't have a set outcome, that you can enjoy the journey and be free?
So with our artist researchers in A-level art, we have to do a lot of tests and experiments. So a lot of like small sheets of just like doing the one medium, and then the next sort of few pages will be that medium if you like it with like another medium, so it's like mixed. And then so you have to do a lot of preparation until the upcoming final piece you do. So I guess it's not as free, but I feel like that's quite difficult for me because I feel like I have to have that like motivation. Like, unlike you, I wish I could just do it like you, but yeah, it's quite different with the A-level.
But also we're all different, aren't we? And you shouldn't, you say you wish that way, but I mean, I'm always, it's always the opposite, isn't it? I'm always fascinated by people who can just execute a plan. That's amazing. Yeah.
Just wanted to mention that yesterday I said about how there was a CANDI award ceremony for those. It was kind of like outstanding achievement. Like, who does that go to, or like who does the curriculum the best? It was one of those. There was like 4 people nominated for each subject that we have, including the CAS building, so applied sciences. So we had like different subjects and people who won awards for, and we also had an art exhibition open on the 4th floor. And I saw Leah's work there.
Did you
yeah, I did. I was going to send you. I like looked through.
I couldn't go.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was open from like 28th to, I think it was 27th to 29th is when it was open. But it was so beautiful. Me and my friends, we went up there, and it was basically all the work that our year did, the 13 art students. And I just remember I didn't know what to expect. I know I had time to kill, so I was like, okay, let me go up, and it was beautiful. Like the work that was produced this year. What was the theme of this year? Can I ask? Someone told me it was blue, but
So they gave us a briefing with like 12 topics you can choose from between all the arts topics. So like with the photography, art, A-level art. One of them was blue. I chose attach. That was one of them for mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish I could show you pictures. Do you have pictures on your phone of your work?
Yeah, I think. I'll need to find it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be able to like speak through it because
Yeah.
I saw so much, and I wish I did take pictures, but it was beautiful. There were some sculptures there as well. It was like different mediums of art, because I do think art is such a loose term, because I think photography can fit in there, collages, paintings, like so many mediums can fit into art. And we saw collages yesterday, we saw like kind of photos, and then there was like art over it. We saw someone who bought a canvas of just like flower fields, but they painted like a whole picture on top of it. It just illustrates so much meaning. And I remember seeing Leah's book. Oh yeah, this is, I think it's your final project.
Oh, that is the final.
Oh wow. Yeah. This is very like organic. What's going on here? Let's have a look. This looks really interesting.
If you allow me, I'll be
Yeah,
able
sorry,
to
I'm
attach that onto.
Yeah, that's fine. I can send it to you later.
And this, what's this produced with? Is this?
That's just all acrylic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, I want to zoom. It's one of those where you just wish the real thing was right.
Yeah, just so you can just peer through it. Yeah. Do you want to? I remember you describing the I want to say meaning. Of it.
As I mentioned, my theme was attach. So I thought like everyone is attached by like feelings and love, and like hugs are attached, obviously, because you're physically attached. So I done the huge heart in the middle. And then to the sides, I did like DNA strands with like as circles, so they're like as chains but as DNA. I don't know if that really makes sense without the photo, but
they'll be able to. Hopefully, I have good editing skills, and I can put the picture up on there as they're watching it. And they'll be on YouTube as well, so they'll be able to see. Illustration, but that's so cool. That's the reason why I had you in my mind when I came here, because I remember, because we sit next to each other in media, and I just, it's always that case of how's drama going, how's history going, how's art going. So I remember Leah had a really stressful time where a lot of things were there were deadlines coming up, and she had an art exam to do, and there was like 3 days where she had to miss media revisions. And this is for students listening. If you're in year 12 or going to come to this college for the art course, we want to speak more about that, which we can do later on. But it's just it's brilliant, I think, for if you want to do art. I think the course does let you do a lot of things. From what I've heard, it's just from a third person perspective, but I can tell you, like, it just seeing the artwork. Gosh, if you do have time, and if they do throw another art exhibition, you should go there. Like it was like, I'm not an art student. I think that's what I really want to say. Like sitting here right now and just seeing, then in a world that I'm not even involved in.
But do you make art yourself? Do you do art?
No, actually.
Not at all. Okay, interesting.
So I am just like, my kind of speciality, I want to say, is media.
Yeah.
So I've produced a short film. This year came out. It was like a course that I did, and it was in climate activism. So it was a 5-minute short documentary. That was like my first official work out there in the world that I produced. So I'm seen like as an official producer or whatnot. Yeah. So that's kind of the route I'm going into. And I'm kind of going to like media and communication. And the thing is, it comes from my ADHD, but just me as a person, really. Yeah. I really like exploring different things. So I like the fact that media, like art, is such a loose term, and it fits so much in there. I always wanted to go, let me do this, let me do that, let me do this. So like, I always dip my like toe into everything. And part of our course is doing music videos, and I enjoyed that a lot, because you get to direct, edit.
Thalir's one was amazing.
I really enjoyed. That's how you see, like, when you enjoy the course you do, and I'm really glad you're kind of taking up art, because like, you can just, when you enjoy something, like, you just put your heart and soul in it. You can just see it so clearly, like, just you can see it, and you can see. I could see it from talking to you as well, and it's just so expressive and just beautiful, and just. I could go on and on about this.
Oh, bless you. No, you and I can see it with you two as well. It's really delightful to see you know, and you're young, you've got your lives ahead of you, and you're already excited about things, and that doesn't, you know, that's golden. Like, not everybody has that. And obviously, hopefully, the college that you go to and the people that you surround you help you get that. Not everyone has that in life, and it's tough for people, and sometimes it takes a long time to work out what you're interested in, and that's okay too. But you two have already got spark and energy and love sort of flowing at you from when you're talking about these making things, and that's...
It didn't come easy. I want to say, like, it did come like halfway through college, like, as in I wasn't very sure of my kind of, you know, that first dream job that you had as a kid. It was like an actress, and you know, but right now I definitely do think media coincides with what I'm doing, and like I'm going to go into production coordinating and press coordination, and I've already got potential role in my borough as well. So it's kind of just, you know, it is just doing what you enjoy, but seeing what comes out of it as well, because it has to benefit you in some way as well, I guess. But career-wise and whatnot. But that was like a little talk for students out there who aren't sure and whatnot. But it's just do what you enjoy, and I feel like life takes you into a path where it can, even if it's not your career, it definitely become an enjoyable hobby and escape in your life.
I think that's really nice that you said that, because people, I think we're all just taught, aren't we, to sort of instrumentalise everything, like turn it into something that's going to be very structured, profitable, whatever. And actually, meaning doesn't always just come from what you do as your job. I mean, your job is important because we do spend most of our time doing it. But for some people, it's less important. Actually, they're quite happy not worrying about that. And like you say, you get your expression in different ways, or your hobbies. It's just not one size fits all, isn't it? It's just, but really nice that you said that and remind people about that.
I'm kind of into, after doing the music video, of course, which my course always teaches me things I never knew I enjoyed, but here we are. I really want to save up money for a camera and kind of start going into kind of videography, cinematography, and photography as well, just because it sounds like, I honestly just like that, like, as in the people I surround myself with, you know, they're kind of type of people to have a camera with them all the time, and they'll just, anything they find interesting, you know, snap a shot of it and things like that. And I find that so, like, what's the word, inspiring, because I'm someone who constantly writes down things or jots down things in case I forget them, in case I don't ever want to forget the way I'm feeling right now. That's like a weird fear in my life, but like I never want to forget how I'm feeling right now, like, I mean, gratefulness wise or like experience wise, so I try to jot them down in different ways. So I feel
do you find it easy to jot that down?
No, because I forget to jot them down. No. So it's kind of like, I should totally remember this and then just figure, you know.
But I mean, like, do you find it easy to express how you're feeling? Because it's interesting, you're saying you want to remember how you're feeling. Sometimes, like, I mean, that's why people, I think, develop visual languages, because they find it very hard to articulate how they're feeling about things. So I'm just wondering, how are you with the writing? Do you feel like you are able to say how you...
Yeah, I mean, I had this craze phase, I want to say back in like 2015, where I used to have like diaries, right? And I didn't it stopped being about my feelings and more about speaking about events that's already happened. And I realized this is how, like, it's all about learning yourself, no matter what kind of mental health thing you might have. It's not about that, it's all about knowing yourself. So I realized I thought it was writing, but then I definitely saw writing as more of a stressful thing, because words can't really express enough of what impact things have had in my life, which is why I was speaking about the camera thing, because I really hope that will start helping me in my journey of kind of being more comfortable with where I am and not stressing about remembering things or things like that, which is, so I haven't actually explored that yet. So it's about going into exploring that, you know, trying to get that camera or whatnot, or even on your phone. Honestly, right now we're recording on our phones, so it's really not hard trying to like do the things you want, because nowadays with our generation and the century we're in and technology, you really can do anything at home. I remember there was this little thing I saw during COVID. It was like, I think it was called the Borough thing, that I'm working for, the film Borough thing. They did this course which is like filming at home, and they showed different angles, different kind of shots that you could do on your phone, and that's where it inspired me to be like, I should totally get my own thing and do something like this. So there's always things out there that can help you do the things you enjoy and express yourself in the way that you want to.
I like that idea, like if you're wanting to capture remember your memories, and I'm sure you'll fall in love with photography then.
I had a Polaroid camera that I would always print out and then I'll stick it onto this little like A5 book, And I remember I used to, and again, writing, I would write down the date, tell everything that happened exactly. But it's like reading over it, it was just, if I feel quite sad like for my past self, because like she was really just there, like you know, trying to like, she opened her present, it was just like, it was such a craze, you know. But then I realized the photo itself captures the moment like perfectly, and then now it kind of has that transition because it's a big book. It was a plain like A5 book I got for Christmas. I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I was like, let me transform this into like a little
you
book.
with those tiny notebooks.
Yeah.
In media, she just had like, everyone else had like A4 notebooks to write their notes down. She had this like tiny little
A5.
every
it was
time.
like this thin, and somehow like
just squeezed it in.
Yeah, I always used to squeeze it, and my pages never looked that full. It looked so blank sometimes, and I would have it for 2 years, and people were like, what? Like, how?
Was it a thick book?
No, like my learning book was like, in school was different to at home. So at home I have like really thick ones, but I never buy things for myself. I always use whatever people give me.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like you could just make something out of it. Yeah. But for college, I don't know, I find A5 books much more easier to kind of condense knowledge in. No one understands this, but like it just seems more simpler, and like it doesn't fold in your bag or anything weird, and like it just looks nicer, and I feel like when I open it I can put myself fully into it. Whilst poker pads, they stress me out. Like 500 pages, I don't want to know that. Like,
no, I think I definitely I can see that. There's something just like, again, it's about like the expectations that come with certain things, and like a small, non-imposing little notebook. It's not,
doesn't have a number of pages in there, just a blank little cover.
Just a little
just
space.
One bit of colour on it. It's just like, that's good enough for me.
Definitely. I mean, I'm writing on scraps of paper all the time. But
me too. I used to do that. Yeah. I used to do that as well. But then they all get disorganised, and I'm someone who writes notes and don't really look at them again kind of person, because I kind of remember things from actually writing them down rather than the written down things. But so I think the A5 book, to reread, it helped me a lot more, because it wasn't scraps of paper, it wasn't massive A4 paper. I think I managed well in terms of writing down big headings and like, okay, so this means it's video games, this means it's podcasts. Like it was very easy for me to kind of read over things. But with the plain A5 little book that I said, it was like a memory book of mine. You see a transition of me putting down photos and writing loads and loads from just a little collage of photos, because I feel like that's just enough, you know. I don't need to kind of chase after words. It's just little photos, or little, like, I remember cutting out like the first tracksuit I ever bought. I cut out the little tag and I just stuck it on there. And I think I just forgot to write something, but when I opened it, I knew exactly what it was. I was like, that's my tracksuit. Yeah. When I first earned my money from my little cafe, and I bought that. Like, you know, I don't wear tracksuits, but it was just really funny to see like that little like Adidas logo. Yeah. But it's just
I think that's
cool.
That's amazing. And do you find that with your art that you're making as well, that you've been making for the last 2 years, does that tell a little story about yourself over the last 2 years? Will you be able to tap into, like, look at something you made like last year and sort of say, okay, that's interesting, it's changed? Or
I feel like I've definitely improved, because you just do after doing it for like a certain amount of time, because we have lessons like 3 times a week. Obviously it's going to improve over time, and I think most of my work actually around the end, because for the first bit you done the 60% and the last bit you done the 40%. Towards the end I was leaning definitely way towards more photography in the art A level, which you're allowed to do, and then just like justifying it with like linking it to my theme and stuff. So I think like over time kind of lean towards what like you enjoy the most.
And would you still say that photography is your interest, your passion?
Definitely.
That's really
How do you see it in your future, by the way? Art, photography.
Like, I was going to ask the same thing.
Where do you see it going? Into like a career, hobby? Like, what's your plans with it?
So I was very close to accepting photography in Brighton, but then I accepted fashion beauty media course at Solent University. It's in Southampton. And which is more like photography. It's more magazines. It's very linked to media. Like editing, journalism, stuff like that. So it's more everything, because I don't want to just be stuck with photography.
Sure.
I want to be stuck with like everything.
Stuck with everything. I love
Me
that.
with that media communication. What does that mean?
By the way, I'm
broad.
writing that down as a potential title for a painting. Stuck with everything. I think it's brilliant.
Glad to be inspiration.
I'll credit you.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a funny way of putting it. I like it. No, so you want to keep your options open, and as much as you love photography, you are also interested in other things. So,
because I feel like if I'm doing just photography for 3 years, I don't want to be like way down and then just end up not liking it. I'd rather keep my options open.
Yeah.
And then go towards more what I like at the end, my final thing.
Yeah. Because it's really hard to decide what to do at university, isn't it?
I'm only
I actually
18 as well.
We're actually quite young. In the university
so
beings,
young.
we're so young.
Yeah, you are.
We're supposed to choose
I
like
know.
there's 3 things you have to stick to, and there's that
pressure
pressure that's
3 courses.
loosely like it's getting broken down a bit more with BTECs and apprenticeships and things like that, because you know that's a good thing. But I think we're still kind of stuck in our mindset of A levels is the best, so we should go for A levels, you know. And the reason why I chose A levels because I come from a family where we're quite open with a lot of things. We've done BTEC and apprenticeship, so we kind of had the whole spiel. And I was thinking, do I want to go into this? And my sisters were recommending me to go for apprenticeship and things like that. But I find those kind of courses lead to just one pathway sometimes. And I knew A levels was harder, and I kind of put myself up to it. But it just broadened my kind of like view of things, you know, history, drama, media. Those are my 3 interests. Now I know it's media kind of thing. But I want to ask a similar question to you with your art. Like, where do you see it going, and what are your plans? You know, something you want to tell us?
So I think it's good time to be asking me that, because I'm really thinking a lot about that. Doing this exhibition, spending the time here in the library, meeting some wonderful people coming through the doors, and just getting very inspired. So I think I haven't been sure for a while. I'm sort of bumbling. I've been bumbling along a little bit, making it up as I go along, doing some art fairs, which I've loved. I did the other art fair, the Saatchi other art fair. Wonderful experience. I love direct contact with people to talk about the art. And also you meet wonderful artists and networks there. Sorry, I'm going off. I do this a lot. I just like digressing.
No,
but,
this is where the best conversations are born. Because I used to feel quite guilty and just going off, but then I realised without me knowing, I'm just so intrigued and interested in whatever people are saying. So I'm always questioning it. And I'm like, oh wait, it's recording. That's why I looked to the phone. I was like,
it's still recording.
I should probably, it's going.
Still
no
going.
worries.
Still going.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, like your battery phone might run out or something.
Still talking
so much, but we'll just keep going.
No.
Just write it down.
Yeah.
You know.
Write it down. Me and I did a podcast earlier, and it was like an hour and a half. So that needs condensing definitely. But conversation.
Well, the editors will get on it. They'll be
me on the
you,
editor.
You're doing everything right. Okay.
Good luck with this one.
No, I'm going to enjoy listening over again, but do continue.
Yeah, no, sorry. So, what's the question? Oh, yeah, what was happening? Yeah, so basically, it all started with just doing one art fair, and then I was just kind of bowled over, I should say, that people liked it, first of all, that people actually wanted it in their homes, and I don't know, just a sort of light bulb moment. It was quite transformative, like that first art fair, and then it started from there, and I've just been trying to do like group shows. So it's I never really thought it was going to lead to where I didn't think it was going to go on as long as it has. I thought maybe I would just take a couple of years doing that, and then I don't know, I'd rethink things or whatever. But I'm sort of starting to realise now understand the art world a little bit better from interactions with galleries and artists and other people. And I think really I've sort of realised that I'm just much more interested in the sort of community, the sort of therapeutic potential of art. So I used to work in my 20s. I worked as an outreach worker in mental health, and I worked in care homes, and I've worked, I did a lot of sort of social work related work in my 20s, and then in my 30s I was teaching sociology, and so I've always been somebody that works frontline with people, and I've loved that. when you're working as making art, it's amazing, but you're on your own a lot. And actually, a lot of artists, unless you're in a studio that you're surrounded by fellow artists, like many of us are just beavering away. And our kind of main source sometimes of contact is showing up to other people's exhibitions and meeting people. Instagram has been, you know, for all the sort of negative sides of Instagram, it has really helped me. Because I didn't go to art school, I don't have those original networks. It's helped me meet some wonderful people, and given me opportunities. It's become also like my little blog, like my own sort of progression. And you know, it nearly disappeared. I was saying to Romy, it nearly disappeared yesterday. I thought, oh my God, I've lost my Instagram account. And actually, like work, you know, because you do have to work. If you want to sell work, you have to work incredibly hard at all the other stuff. That's the bottom line. Like, it's not. I never appreciated that. It's a real learning experience as well for, like, you know, the cost of art, the ethics of selling in an art community. If somebody comes along and sells a piece cheap just because they can, that has a knock-on effect on artists who, you know, it's just not sustainable to give. I started out thinking, I want to make my art as affordable as possible. And I do, but the bottom line is, these take a lot from you, and they also take. You need, if you live in a one-bedroom flat, which I do, you need studio space.
Of course,
and everything that, like, acrylic, oil pastels, everything's expensive. The materials,
absolutely,
and the canvases, even. Everything. I love trying to get resources. Oh my God.
Yes, exactly.
I ended up, for my final piece, I just used a recycled canvas that they gave us, and we had to sandpaper it and go over it. They're just not funded enough to buy new ones.
But that's actually lovely, though, isn't it? Repurposing things. Yes, and just really, I think that's really great when people do stuff like that.
And I think coming from an outside of the art community thing, I think we do have. I shouldn't say we, because I don't do this, but I think maybe just speak for everyone who's just not an artist, I guess, or just artistic in any sense, but I think we do have this kind of thing of, we see paper, we see colour, we just think it's simple. Like, you know, if you don't really look at the meaning of it, I do hear a lot of people my generation as well as just, I guess, parents, I don't know, just people I surround myself with, it is often like, but it's just I could do this at home. Like, people say that quite a lot,
very common,
but you don't, because if you do plan to, and you walk into an art shop, you realise, okay, I can't afford it, or you don't have an idea. There's so much that goes behind it, but because we only see the final product, you see, it's so easy to just jump to conclusions. But the process of it is so long. And I was thinking this in my head when I was thinking about things to record. I love to record processes. So for people who just see something for final product, think, well, that's easy. You know, they don't really see the process of things. I love seeing behind the scenes.
Well, that's really interesting. On Instagram, there's a lot of artists, for example, that are really good at sort of documenting, they'll film themselves playing and stuff, which is
and it gets views as well.
I do understand that it's fascinating to watch. Me personally, I consider it a very private act of love, me painting, and I could never see me getting into filming it. Which is a shame in one respect, but that's just the way it is for me. I love watching other people do it, but I'm too at the moment. Maybe that will change, but I'm just far too in my bubble and self-conscious about it. It does feel like this type of paint. Maybe other people don't feel that way, but this is I'm just emptying my soul out.
I respect that so much, though. Yeah, I wouldn't want someone recording me doing my stuff. Do you know what I mean? I don't want that. I do definitely get that kind of personal kind of aspect. And I want to ask another question as well. I feel like I need to sneeze.
Yeah. Don't go for it.
I want to, but it's but I want to ask as well. We spoke about how everyone kind of needs to have some kind of art involved, or those who want to creatively express themselves. Do you have anything to say to people who do kind of want to get, not students who want to do art, I think, just want to creatively express something perhaps through art? Is there any kind of advice you can give, or just kind of a comment?
I think just do it. Just do it. Just don't start down the trail of thought. But what? I won't be any good, or I don't. It's so sad. You hear the amount of conversations I have with people that come in and they go, "Oh, but I don't. I'm terrible at drawing. I'm terrible at this, and I'd be, I'm rubbish at art." And then you ask some questions and you realise that they've hardly ever tried, and you don't get anywhere. You don't find what you love without trying. And I think it's what we said before. It's people have this idea that you've got to produce something beautiful. You know, it's about the outcome
or realism. I feel like people are so attracted to realism.
And you know what's brilliant about being in this library is, unlike commercial galleries, you're getting people who, if this was a commercial gallery that regularly showed abstract art and contemporary art, then you're not going to get the people walk through the door, which I have, that have come in and said, well, I don't really like it, you know, or I don't get it, or but I could do this myself. And you end up with some very interesting conversations, and also people that are daunted, which you then have an opportunity to then gently sort of make them realise that it's not something clever. I don't have some master plan here. You know, it's like, it's lovely when people sort of start to relax and then just have fun and just walk around and go, well, I can see a car there, or I can see this story from my life in those colours and making me think of this. So, you know, people get very bogged down and very intimidated by the art world, and which sort of breaks my heart a bit. And, you know, I get a bit intimidated as well. I'm still working out how to sort of interact with galleries and stuff, and I don't think I've done a particularly good job of that, but I'm also starting to understand that maybe that's not important to me, and actually what I'd like to do is just have direct contact with people that might want to buy my art, either by running my own shows or going to art fairs, and then giving back to the community and actually trying to create spaces where people can express themselves and, you know, get out whatever they're feeling. And it might be, I mean, I've had ideas about maybe going into hospitals or women's refuges, or, you know, places like, we've all got issues that are important to us, and but just anybody, you know. I've sat here in the windowsill with people talking about their busy lives and how they need, you know, like women that are similar age to me, that their hormones are changing, more stress, you know, the brain, like teenagers, we all know teenagers' brains undergo a lot of change.
24, right?
Yeah, it happens again. I'm sorry, and women, you know, it's, there you go.
Ongoing.
So we got it again. Right, you got it again, I'm afraid, later. But so but it's important to have those conversations, and I've already had some lovely conversations with some women that have just sort of said, yeah, I can really see how I'd like, you know, this could help. We've talked about just that venting and that, you know. So for me, the art world is massive. And I think there's a million different ways to be an artist in the art world. Some of it's very hierarchical and off-putting to me, but others chasing the status, the fame, that, you know, it'll work for them. There's a million different ways to do it, and it's a learning curve, like navigating the spaces. I mean, this is such a unique space to show. I mean, I can't quite believe how lucky I am having my first solo exhibition in a space like this. But maybe it's not chance that it's luck. It's like I've subconsciously seeked a place that is a little bit more in line with what is important to me, which is talking to regular people and connecting with the community. Whereas to somebody else, it would be much more about, I want to be in a beautiful, well-known gallery, and that's totally cool. That's you know, but it's not putting pressure on yourself to find. Again, what you've talked about before, and, you know, there's sometimes pressures to sort of select a certain path or whatever. And it's one thing deciding you want to do art, but then the next step is, how are you going to navigate? What's your particular spot in the art world? And that takes time to work out. I mean, I've only been doing this properly for a few years, but I'm slowly, through doing opportunities like this, making the opportunities, seizing, you know, things that come along, being open, and saying no to things that I'm pretty sure that I'm just not interested in. What's the point? You know, I hear you, it's good to be open, but I think sometimes, you know, it's okay to say no. Like, no, that's not, I don't want to do that. I don't want to try that. I'll try this. And then, if we're being open, receptive, and just, you know, taking your time if you can, which is easier said than done. Because at the bottom line is, it's going to be different for different people. And a young person I think it's really hard. You're from a modest income, low income family, art is, like you said, very expensive. A lot of people will start out doing other jobs and doing art on the side. And so, and I think again, it's hard. Like, you don't want to put pressure on yourself necessarily straight away to go, right, I'm going to go all in, and it's going, you know, if it doesn't work out, that's it. I can't do it. Most artists I know will at some point, maybe not forever, or maybe they'll have stints of doing other jobs, and then they'll take a year or two where they're just focusing on their art, and then they're, you know, and that's not a bad thing. That doesn't have to be a bad thing at all. That can be a beautiful thing because you're getting different influences.
Exactly. I was just going to ask, it's kind of like if you have a short answer or just like kind of a little throw out any kind of words and whatnot, how can you make art accessible? Because I feel like, you know, like we already spoke about the kind of financial side of it, and I kind of spoke about, I think we all spoke about using materials that were just lying around and whatnot. Yeah. But like, I think introducing that concept a bit more, especially in the UK education system. Yeah, recycling, that's one way, yeah. But in the UK education system, I remember speaking about this, you know, we are kind of forced to, like, it's kind of shoved down our throats, how STEM is so important, all these kind of things, and creative stuff isn't expressed enough. So yeah, accessibility, what would you recommend? We already spoke about recycling.
Well, I think that's a question for all of us to consider, isn't it? So you mean, so accessible of making it, not of appreciating it, making it. Yeah. Well, that's got to happen very early on in in primary schools and as well as people's homes, isn't it? I think you got to take. I think people have to get out there and make art with the community in different, unique spaces, much more than we are already. And I know that's partly a funding issue and government changes, and, you know, like we all know, like, the arts are not valued enough, and but I'm just sort of thinking of an example. So if you're someone who sets out, so, well, I want to make art accessible, I want to do a workshop with a group of women who are experiencing domestic violence, for example, or, you know, you wouldn't, I don't think you would just advertise and expect them to come to you. Just like with, you know, you want to work with prisoners, you go there, you go to the spaces, and you go, and if it's families with young children that maybe are not getting enough art influence, you go there. Like, you have to go to these different spaces. People have to be willing. And otherwise, I just can't see it. You're just gonna, you know, put your workshop, advertise your workshop. The people that you're trying to reach, they might not find you. That's the point, isn't it? Like, if they knew about it all, then what are you what are you trying to do? Like, the point is, you've got to bring it to people that wouldn't normally consider it.
Primary schools, definitely, like, very early on.
Yes.
Because obviously art's way less funded now. Even the college, CANDI is quite less funded than it was. So I think if you get young children influenced by a very young age, like I started off just very young, just pencil drawings, and then I obviously got to CANDI and I was like, wow, there's more.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's being exposed to kind of more material, things like that. I definitely think community centres are quite good as well. I'm quite like not upset, but I was quite like, oh, damn, like, I wish I went to more community centres when I was younger. Of course, that's not my fault. I can't just adventure out as a 6-year-old, go out somewhere. But I think, you know, again, like, kind of speaking about these kind of centres that are available, free things, like, you know, I never even knew, like, one of my friend's mum, she's like an artist as well, and like, she did a bunch of stuff that I just never knew about. I just heard of it, you know. I just wish it is kind of just exposure, I would say, kind of just knowing these things exist out there. You know, I think every time I speak to someone, like, they're always telling me something new, and it's just like, I wish it was just more out there in the world. But yeah,
it comes with building relationships though as well, isn't it? So it's just like one session isn't enough, one exposure. You know, you've got to be
same thing with like diverse communities. You just never knew that food existed, or never knew this kind of cultural thing. And obviously, again, talking about the century, about social media, we're exposed to so many different things. Like, I learned so much from the internet. There's the negatives, but the positives are crazy as well. So it's just about opening yourself out there and not being afraid to do these kind of things. And so many things are free, like, so many things are genuinely free. Like, you know, I know Walthamstow does a lot of things, like pottery classes and things like that. We can make your own things. But
it's the culture. I mean, in sociology, we used to call it about social and cultural capital. And, you know, it's completely there everywhere, including in the art, massively in the art world. You know, the people that are confident to talk about art, I mean, it's so stark. It's like, and then all these people that come in that are really wonderfully interested, but just intimidated by, they think they're lacking the language, they've never tried.
I understand that.
So many barriers need to be broken down.
That's why I'm so into just saying about exposure. But I do come from cultural background as well, which is why I'm so like passionate about it, because I could list like so many people who who look like me and come from the same background as me. I just know things would be so perfect for them, but they just don't know it's out there. Like,
what's your background then?
So I'm Sri Lankan Tamil,
okay.
and I grew up here. I was born here, grew up here, and everything.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of my younger world, primary school like time, like it was all to do with the Tamil culture. I was like we had a massive family as well, so it was just surrounded by family who speak like you, act like you, talk like you, and it's quite like, it's not their fault, but it's kind of like you're just stuck in that one culture. Therefore, there's these kind of like cultural expectations, I should say, or like ways of being, whether it's on your gender, or whether on like what you're gonna do, like so many things like that. And I feel like I kind of broke out of that kind of mold in secondary school when I met more people who weren't like me, and I was able to kind of do things that I wasn't expressed. But I was very, I don't know what to say, I'm very different. Like, you don't really meet people. It sounds weird, but you don't really meet people like me who've really gone out there and done that. I feel like I'm quite the kind of outlier, I feel like, because I thought there's loads of people like me and there isn't.
Because you could be like an influence and a change to like people maybe in your family.
I talk to them a lot about this kind of stuff. Like, I think that's my power. I do think talking is like my thing, where I really do like bonding with people. So I do want to kind of get out there, do a lot of community work, and just show people through people like you and things like how there's these things out there, and if you like it, just go for it, you know.
That's so lovely. I mean, you can see,
it's just like a little
coming at you.
Yeah, it's just a little thing. I've always thought that there's always like community stuff is always so like big in my heart, and it's just all about kind of like, again, exposing things out there and just showing people things. So I want to be where I am right now in terms of experiencing things like that. If other people did that to me, like if they weren't there for me, I would not be here at all. I don't know what I'd be doing. Perhaps influencing pharmacy or something, you know. Like, that's so stereotypical, I understand, but you do realise stereotypes do have some truth to it, I guess. But,
no, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I'm half Indian. My dad was Tanzanian Gujarati, and mum was Danish. And early years of my life, I was surrounded a lot by those kind of, you know, the elder generations with sort of sensible jobs. Yeah. And at college, I remember as well, you know, always trying to sort of put a little different perspective. I mean, it's hard because it's your family is everything, and you don't want it, you know, and you get that they always want what's best for you, but I remember students often having very fixed expectations about, I must go into law, or I must do this, and they don't really want to, you know, and
they have that point in their life where they do everything rather than want to do a complete 180.
Because everything's so money focused now.
It is.
My friend's just doing law for like money reasons.
I know people going into medicine for money, like literally, you know, they somehow like good at it, I guess, and they're like, I might as well do it. But
and that scares me.
It scares me,
because we're going into creative. It's not so like
money generating.
Exactly, that's the word. Yeah.
But like there are still stuff out there. Like, you know, you still can earn. Like, I think we do have this kind of way of saying it's hopeless. Like, you're only doing this for fun.
I know.
Like,
we've got to get away from the starving artist attitude, because that's. And I think actually it's a problem that gets sustained. And that's what I was sort of saying earlier. You've got an ethical responsibility when you're thinking about how you're pricing your work, for example, because, you know, there are certain jobs where people just sort of assume that you're a nice person, you make this art, and you're just going to give it away free. You know, like, honestly, it's an interesting thing that I've come across. It's like, well, or like, it could be galleries that you feel a little bit exploited by, or that they, you know, they're sort of tapping into.
Like, this isn't something just like done.
Yeah. But then again, it's those kind of like stereotypes and expectations that people have who are outside of the art community.
Yes, that somehow you're doing it because you love it, and that's true. But that doesn't mean, like, if you are trying to make a living from it, then you do have to. Yeah. You're not going to just give it all away, or just, you know, like, you have to sort of remind yourself also that, you know, you're also, like other jobs in society, entitled to earn a wage from it. And the world needs artists. The world needs everything, doesn't it? The world needs all sorts of things, and art is one of the things.
Yeah. It might seem like it's getting shunned towards the listeners as well. It might seem like everything, like from the way we're speaking about it, you know, it is mainly the education system that we say this, but honestly, the art world, media world, creative world is growing, expanding. Like, you know, statistics show that London is like more open to these kind of things. There's jobs coming out, and because of technology, there's new jobs being created because of it as well. So don't think it's hopeless. And if you really do want to go into it, go into it. If you want to see the financial side of it, research. I mean, I researched and I thought, oh my gosh, it's not hopeless, you know.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, definitely just if you're passionate about it, go for it. Don't like obviously you have to listen to family, you know, whatnot. But if you have something to prove, do a Google slide, do a PowerPoint, do a whole thing for them. I remember I sat down with my parents and I was just like, this is something I really want to go into, and you know, had to flaunt the money sign a little bit, but again, we're here right now. But yeah, any final things you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you both for coming in. I mean, it's been such a joy to meet you.
Thank you so much.
You're very inspiring young ladies, actually. Like, I can see like a lot of passion and fire coming at you.
I don't know what I expected coming in here, but it was very lovely to speak to you.
No, but that's the way. That's the best. I mean, that's how I
train.
Hey, well, to surprise aquarium, that's how I paint. You've got to be open and see what happens, right? Surprises, beautiful surprises will happen, and that's, you know, hopefully something everybody at your age should remember. Like, life will take all sorts of directions. It's never quite as you plan, but you got the right sort of positive attitudes. Not all. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be times where you just think, "Oh my God," you know, we're all human, and that's okay too. That's okay. Yeah, but that's really important to know that that's okay, isn't it? Because it's hard, but
tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Deadlines.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wish you an amazing summer. Well done.
Thank you. Wish you best of luck with everything. We definitely need to keep in touch. I heard that Instagram. I'm going to jump onto it, but
I'll get your details now as well.
Definitely
want to see what you both get up to in the future.
Yeah, I want to see what you get up to as well. You've honestly inspired me to look into like art a bit more as well. And I hope everyone that's listening, like, you do kind of get in touch with that artistic side. Everyone has artistic side, no matter what people tell me. Yes. I know you want to create something.
Painting,
no, exactly.
Yeah,
dancing, pick up guitar, whatever.
Exactly, performing arts. I really hope this conversation has expanded and improved your thinking of just art as well. Yeah. This is us signing off then. Thank you, Meera, for joining us. Thanks, Leah. And this is the Jam Podcast. Thank you.